Welcome to Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams. Each show, we strive to provide quality guests and quality information to help empower yourself financially. Today, we're going to be talking about college planning, how to pay for college, looking for college, and some strategies to help make the whole college process, selection process, much better. As always, as I tell you at the beginning of each show, now's the time to get your paper, pen, DVR, because there's going to be some great information provided that you won't want to miss. And now our guest. Today we are here with, and I've been really excited about this show, preparing for it for a while, Dr. Monica Randall. Welcome to the show. You are founder and CEO of Bridge to College.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Now, this show, we're talking about college planning.
Yes.
This is near and dear to my heart. I have two sons. One is 8, one is 3.
Okay.
And I keep thinking of that college, and I'm looking at the cost of college going up and up every year. We're going to talk more about that, but first, let's talk about you.
Okay.
So I know you did your undergraduate work at UVA, University of Virginia.
Correct.
And your graduate work. Tell us about that, because it was very fascinating looking at your background.
Sure. So my graduate work was sort of, I took a different route. I didn't go directly after University of Virginia to graduate school.
All right.
I spent 2 years in the Peace Corps.
Really?
Yes.
Now I got to ask the question.
Okay.
What made you do that?
Service.
Wow.
Being able to serve. I was in West Africa for 2 years.
Okay. Which countries?
Niger.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I did was I went out into villages and I taught women how to build these energy efficient cook stoves. So it was sort of like a woman empowerment type project that I worked on for 2 years.
Okay.
So it was at that time that I realized that I'd like to continue my education.
Okay.
And so I applied to Ohio University and for a master's in international affairs, of course, because of Peace Corps.
All right.
And while I was at Ohio University, I liked it so much that I wanted to do another degree. So I stayed there and got a master's in public administration.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And then from there, where I focused on budgeting and finance.
Wow.
Okay.
I like that.
All right. And then from there, I decided to go into the work world for a few years.
Why'd you want to do that?
I just thought I would get some more experience. And then I said, whoa, wait a minute, I'd like to go back to school. So that's when I worked on my doctorate in public policy.
Wow.
Okay.
That is an interesting background. So after you got your doctorate, I know at some point you did some work in higher education.
Correct.
Tell us a little about that.
Sure. So while getting my doctorate,
Okay.
I started working in higher education.
Okay.
Okay. I worked for the state of Maryland in the Higher Education Commission. And what they do is they coordinate all of higher education for the state of Maryland.
Okay.
And so I started out there in finance, budgeting. And then from there I moved to research, but still working with higher education institutions from a research perspective, which was really good. And then went back to doing finance policy. Okay. And so that's how I got really involved and decided to stay in that area as I worked on my doctorate as well. Yeah.
So after you got your doctorate, what happened?
What happened?
This is a fascinating story. We went from the Peace Corps, these guys, finance for the state of Maryland, Higher Education Commission.
Yeah, I stayed in higher education.
Okay, so stayed in higher education.
Yeah, I stayed with the Maryland Higher Education Commission for a while.
All right.
And then I decided, instead of just focusing sort of like the state level, that I really wanted to work at in an institution at a university.
Okay.
So I did.
Wow.
And I worked I started out in the finance office and did some work there, working with the president at a university, and also ended up in government relations, which was related to my public policy degree.
Okay, all ties in.
Okay, it all ties in. And then from there, I started working, the president tapped me to be the vice president for enrollment management for a while. And that dealt with admissions, college admissions, and financial aid. So see, it's all linking together.
I see how it's all linked in. So your company, Bridge to College, what led you to go that route? Was there something you saw in higher education that there's a greater need of? What?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I had so many families when I worked as the vice president for enrollment management. They would come to my office. My office was sort of the stopgap. It was. I called it issues and tissues.
Like we want to send this child there, but we need.
Yeah. Or families weren't sure about the process. So they weren't sure about, how to get admitted, or once they got admitted, what about the financial side, et cetera.
Okay.
So when I saw that, I thought, wow, it would be great to educate folks before they came to a university on that whole process of college admissions, how it works, really helping them in that decision-making process of what to do before coming, because it's a big decision.
It is. I mean, I think back when I applied to colleges, couple years ago. I knew what school I wanted to go to. I just was like, all right, this is a little before the internet age, did the application. I guess I really didn't sit down and talk to anybody about the process. I mean, my parents, they guided me through it. They told me where I was going, where I wasn't going to go, what they were going to pay for, what they weren't paying for. But so it's interesting that from your end, seeing it sort of that late end when I actually enrolled in the school, and then having that problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
To see that.
Absolutely. So I was like you as well. I think I applied to one school.
Okay, at least I did 3.
Okay.
But you did 1?
I did 1.
And you knew that was it, no matter what.
I did. I mean, but it was a lot different back then. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So look, when we come back, we're going to talk about this process for applying for college, because we talked on the phone, we met through a mutual friend, and I'd never heard of people planning for college the way you described it. And so there's so much information we need to talk about, and I'm taking notes mentally for myself, so when those boys get older, that we're prepared.
Yes.
But then I was talking to another person about the show, and they were like, oh yeah, my friend had somebody help them go through the college process. So we're going to talk more detail about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you this is going to be a great show for those who have kids, grandkids. You want to know this process about paying for college and applying for college. This is Nick Abrams. We'll be right back. Hello, this is Nick Abrams, host of Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams, with your financial tip of the day. Are you considering purchasing a new home? There are a couple things that you should do before you make that purchase. First of all, establish a budget. Know how much you can afford to buy before you go out looking. Secondly, talk to a mortgage broker about how much you actually qualify for in obtaining a mortgage. Third, meet with a real estate agent and let them know what your budget is so they can find you a house that sticks in your budget so you don't have any financial strains. Lastly, be patient. Home buying is a process that can take a while, but a home purchase is a major investment that you're going to deal with for a number of years. Don't be in a rush to purchase a home and then realize a few months later that you regret those mortgage payments. Take your time, be patient. If you have questions, ask someone. That's your financial tip of the day. I'm Nick Abrams. Welcome back to Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams. Each year, thousands of high school kids go through the process of applying for college. It's a process that can be easy or it can be strenuous at times. But knowing the right process and the steps will be very valuable in making that decision on what school to go to or getting into the school of your choice. Today, we are going to talk about that and empower you to be able to help your family make those decisions about college. So, Dr. Randall.
Yes.
You've told us about your background, which is very extensive. And I always tell our audience we bring quality guests and quality topics to this show. So, college admissions, the process.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what is college admission planning? I mean, what does that entail? What is that? Help me out.
Sure,
I don't know.
Sure. So I always like to tell families that it's really about looking at it from a holistic standpoint. Okay. So for the student and the family, it's about looking at it from a data-driven standpoint, making sure that students really have an idea as to what it is they're interested in studying. Most of the time they do. But really about stepping back and saying, hey, you know, what is it that they value in terms of where they would like to attend school next 4 years of their lives.
Okay.
And then looking at it from the standpoint of not just what I call Facebook colleges, meaning people post on Facebook their son's going to, say, Michigan, so you think, oh, well, maybe my son can get into Michigan. Looking at it from the standpoint of what the students' interests are, and then looking at students' interests, their strengths, their values, and then you look at the schools. Then you shop for a school from a consumer standpoint, because that's what it is. It's making a decision about not only the next 4 years of a student's life, but really the next 40 years of their lives. Really? So looking at it from that perspective.
Okay, so when should you start this process?
Sure. So the best time to start is when your child is 8 years old. I'm just kidding.
Hello.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Thank
so
you.
the best time, really, I think, starting in middle school, because you really want to make sure that students are on the path in high school, taking the right classes, taking a challenging curriculum. Okay, you want their curriculum to be
none of the easy stuff to just get that easy A.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely. Make sure. So you can do that in middle school, because in middle school, that's when you're going to start looking at high schools and what to study in high school as well. So middle school really is a good time, but not from a stressed out standpoint. Okay. You can just do it subtly with your son or daughter.
So now, you know, today's world, you know, with kids and parents. So you're saying that those middle school parents, they shouldn't be just rushing for the advanced courses and all the, you know, space camp and all that just yet.
Not quite yet.
Okay. But you want to be kind of gearing. But how do you do that? Because middle school kids are so interesting, to say the word.
Well,
They're all over the place. How do you kind of find out what interests your child?
So as a mom of a tween, I'm going through this now. Okay.
God bless you.
Okay, thank you. With her, it's looking at her interest.
Okay.
And sort of letting her really take the lead in that.
Okay.
It's if you're on vacation, for example, you might be vacationing with grandparents, and maybe just kind of like subtly driving by a college or university and saying, hey, you know, look at this school, etc. Not from a stress standpoint, but really focusing on their interests. Let them take the lead. And that's what I'm doing right now, letting her take the lead. Trying to see, you know, what is it that she's really interested in or what she's gravitating for and towards, and then giving her the support that she needs to be successful in whatever it is she's going to do.
See, now you're making me feel bad, because I'm on the foundation board for my alma mater, and I always told my children, that's where you're going. So I should kind of take that back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We'll see about that. I'll work on that one. So that's the middle school stage. You sort of finding your way. So now you get to high school.
I get to high school.
And that's where you really, you know, I remember in high school, they said, your freshman year, you can kind of get it together, but by sophomore and junior, you got to be on point, because the colleges are looking, the SATs and all that stuff. So what do you do in high school?
Yeah, for high school, from an academic standpoint, rigor is the key. Taking rigorous courses.
Really?
So if your high school offers honors courses or AP advanced placement courses, or baccalaureate, international baccalaureate courses,
you
take
have to
those.
back up. What is an international baccalaureate?
Okay, so these are more advanced college level courses, kind of like advanced placement, but there's a whole curriculum that's associated with that. Not a lot of high schools offer that.
Okay.
So it depends on, so whatever the highest, most rigorous courses that your high school offers, take a few of those, okay? But make sure, families should make sure that it's something that the student's interested in, okay?
Yeah, I like that.
So if your student's really into, say, chemistry, you know, making sure they take an AP chemistry course, okay? Or history, letting them, because you want them to be interested in it, because it's rigorous. I mean, it's college level courses, right? So you want them to have that interest so that they not only do well, and there are tests associated with that at the end. So you want them to do well on the test as well. So you only do well, for the most part, when you're interested in things, right?
That's true.
So that's what I recommend to families, things that they're interested in.
So we're going through the high school process. We're taking those rigorous, hard courses. The kids are freaking out, going crazy. Parents are going crazy. But we're getting ready to go to the part where we apply for school.
Sure.
What is that process like?
Sure. So that process, the process I like to have families begin thinking about it sophomore year. Okay. A little bit in the sophomore year.
Okay.
But definitely by the time you're a junior. And also from a sophomore perspective too, we didn't talk about extracurricular activities.
We're gonna touch on that.
Yeah. Making sure once again that it's not, that you're not doing a whole bunch of things, but that you're doing something that you're interested in. You know, focusing on what your interests are.
Okay.
And really discovering what your interests are.
Ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, we're going to talk more about this whole application process, and then we're going to also talk about paying for college, because that's the big thing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Financial Empowerment with Nick Abrams. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So we're here with Dr. Monica Randall. We were talking about the college admissions process. So going through the application process. Let's finish that up.
Sure.
So what else? I mean, we want to be well-rounded. You start applying for schools. How do you know what schools to apply to?
Well, once again, basing it on your interest.
Okay.
Okay. And really making sure that your student, your child, assesses what they're interested in. And also, I mean, families have an idea. Parents know their kids very well.
Yeah.
Okay. So they'll know whether or not their son or daughter would thrive better in a large school or a small school, et cetera. So looking at it from that perspective and looking at, schools from a holistic standpoint, based on your interest, based on whether or not you want to be clear across the country to, say, a school in California, or you want to be closer, around in your area, et cetera. So there are a whole host of things that you can look at for a school, and for supporting your interest.
Okay.
As well.
And it's interesting. I was talking to an admissions counselor a couple of years ago, and he was saying that more kids now going through the application process are doing different things to stand out. Like some of them were sending videos instead of essays.
Yeah.
So you're finding more and more of that?
Yeah. So there's this program now called ZEEME.
Really?
ZEEME.
Okay.
Might have another E on the end of that. But it's where schools are allowing students to, instead of just going through the regular application process in terms of filling out the application and just doing a regular essay, it allows students to put videos up about who they are. Okay. And do so in a creative way. And some schools, like Goucher College in Baltimore, Maryland, actually started a video application.
Really?
Yeah. Where
I would never apply to that. I can't even. It's hard for me to record just a regular kid running through the house video.
So, students can put up 2-3 minute videos about themselves.
Really?
Yeah, and they get pretty creative. So it gives them an opportunity to do it in a different, creative way. Okay.
Now you touched on the academic. I want to go back for something you were touching on before we went to break, the extracurricular activities.
Yes.
How important is that?
Very important. And like I said, focusing on your interest. Our kids today, they're so busy. Yeah. Right?
Yes. Don't have to tell me.
They're very busy. I mean, you have
basketball, lacrosse,
absolutely,
extracurricular this and that, and he's only 8. I'm like, really?
Yeah. Yeah. But by the time you get in high school, you want to pick a few activities that you're really that show your strengths.
Okay.
And that, once again, it's all about what you're interested in. Okay? And not necessarily doing everything. So colleges today want well-rounded classes. Not when we were going to school, or when I was going to school, it was more of a well-rounded individual, so you did a lot of things.
Right.
Now they're looking for more specialists.
Really?
Okay? So focusing on whatever it is that you do very well, rather than doing a whole bunch of things. Yes.
So let's talk about the elephant in the room right now.
Okay.
The cost of college. And it's interesting, I see so many different sides of this. As a financial planner myself, I see people coming into the office wanting to plan for their kids' education. As being involved on the foundation board of where I went to school, the struggles that we go through with trying to figure out the cost, raising money to help supplement that cost. And it's interesting, I look at college campuses now, and they look I'll pick on my school. When I went there, you know, we had the dorm rooms, you got your cafeteria, your buildings. Now everything is so much more elaborate. And you have to have that stuff to entice children to come. You got the coffee bars, the juice bars, the lounges, rock climbing walls, and all that stuff. But those things cost money.
Sure.
How are you advising, or how are people now coming up with strategies to pay for college, and more specifically, scholarships and grants?
Sure. So I think in the beginning, when your son or daughter is a sophomore or junior, there are a number of ways you can do it.
Okay.
You can go out and look at certain schools, and every school now has to have like what they call a net price calculator on their website. Okay. So you can go out and get a feel for how much it's going to cost. They'll ask you for information about your personal finances, right?
Really? Okay.
And then it'll show you how much potential scholarships or financial aid your son or daughter will receive, and what your gap will be.
Wow.
So that's what I tell families to do. If you are interested in a school, say like University of Maryland, go out and look at the net price calculator. You'll find them on anybody's college on their websites, because now that's what they do. And kind of get an idea as to how much it's going to cost based on your financial situation.
So now junior wants to go to Harvard or Berkeley or Stanford. What are those, $50,000, $60,000 a year? How do you bring them back to reality that, look, we just don't have that much money?
I say, have that talk with them. Show them, sit down with them and let them work through that net price calculator. They'll learn about and teach them about, what financial aid is, and what need-based aid is, and scholarship aid, and how much that gap will be, and loans. Because when you get to those schools that cost $50,000 or $60,000 a year, and you do take out those loans, having that conversation, you got to pay it back.
And that's where we see a lot of people come to the office with those loans. I never forget, I was speaking at a school here in D.C., and there was a particular young lady that was in her junior year with over $90,000 of student loan debt. And she lived on the West Coast. And I'm saying to myself, there are a lot of schools between the West Coast and the East Coast. And to put yourself in that position already to have $90-some thousand of student loan debt. It's a lot. And we see that more and more. And it seems like parents don't have that conversation.
Having that conversation. Having that conversation.
When should people apply for scholarships?
So they should start, I would say, in your junior year, really start looking at the scholarships.
And how do you find scholarships? I mean, you just Google scholarships and they all pop up?
No, so there are a couple of websites that I always recommend. One is called Scholly.
Really?
SCHOLLY.com. And it's really neat. They have an app as well.
Gotta have an app.
Gotta have an app. You go in, you click off in terms of the criteria, what you're looking for, who you are, and then it'll give you different scholarships that'll pop up with the deadline. It'll take you to the websites of various scholarships, etc.
Really?
So that's one of my favorites. And then the other website that I use a lot is called College Money Talk, I believe that's what it's called. And it also looks at colleges from the standpoint of money, etc. So there are a number of websites out there. I would start with the Scholly.com. And work from there.
Ladies and gentlemen, I told you this was going to be one you want to take notes on. So much information you provided. Dr. Randall, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
If our viewers want to contact you, what is your website?
Sure. My website is bridgetocolleges.com. And that's the number 2 in there. Bridge2colleges.com.
As you see, another qualified guest, qualified topic. Thank you all, our viewers, so much. We look forward and hope that you've gained some information to empower yourself financially. I'm Nick Abrams. Thank you so much.